What is going on, garden fans? Welcome back to the Permaculture Homestead. I am at the home site today. I wanted to give you a full walking tour of the food forest, really kind of focusing in and honing in on what is fruiting and flowering right now. I am actually not the best when it comes to showing you what we've harvested, so I'm going to kind of be inserting a few photos as we go along. The first photo is going to be of all the carrots that we harvested out of the fall vegetable garden a few weeks ago when I planted out this garden. So yeah, we've harvested a whole bunch of carrots, and then right behind them what I did was start planting out our summer vegetable garden. And we got things like squash, zucchini, summer squash, we've got basil growing here, we have peppers coming up, there's some carrot remnants still growing, we have mint as an understory, and then of course more kale and collards because they are so good growers here in South Carolina. And generally I do a chop and drop. I will chop the tops of my kale and collards off, and what I'll get is a nice summer flush of greens. So in this way I can keep my kale and collards growing throughout the year. Now I've got a whole standalone video on my vegetable gardening, so I'm not going to go too deep into that. I want to kind of focus on what's growing on in the main crop garden. So as far as annuals, we have passion fruit coming up. Maypop is vining all over this pineapple guava, and the pineapple guava itself is flowering and fruiting and setting fruit. Now the petals, the flower petals of the pineapple guava are edible. They taste really good. The fruit itself, of course, has a pineapple guava-esque taste to it, and we're going to certainly have some fruit coming in this year from our pineapple guava trees that we have here in the backyard, but I also have a few in the front yard as well. Another big prolific grower and fruiter for us is elderberry, and elderberry is looking good right now. It's flowering currently, lots of flowers, and I have a huge hedge of elderberry growing here. This hedge provides my home, the back of my home here, with a little bit of shade, some privacy, keeps it nice and cool back here during the winter, and it's just a huge biomass of material that I can use for building materials or for fertilizer later on. So lots of elderberry coming up, coming on. Another big harvest that we just had recently was wild blackberries. We've harvested a lot of the thorny wild blackberry varieties. And with that, my wife is the one who generally cans, bottles, stores, dries, or preserves our food for later. And we did a great blackberry cobbler this year. It was actually pretty good, along with some jams and jellies we made with the pounds of blackberries we harvested. Now, perennials, you can probably see my pawpaws here are now really starting to take over and be a dominant species here in my food forest. That's been the plan, that's been by design. I've been pruning down the peach trees because they take a lot of work, a lot of maintenance, and they are not as a prolific fruiter as the pawpaws. So all my patches of pawpaws are currently loaded down with fruit. I expect to get a huge harvest of pawpaws this year from every pawpaw patch that I got growing. And this is the design. I noticed a few years ago that these were just growing better out here in this particular spot. They like the soil conditions, they like the conditions in general that I've been giving them. So I've been toning down the peaches and toning up the pawpaws because, once again, here you can see they are so prolific. And I mean, I have got branches being weighted down by how big some of these pawpaw bunches are. So I really like pawpaw. I also enjoy that they so readily spread and runner. A lot of these runners are easily pulled up in the spring and transplanted elsewhere. If you can do this at the right time, generally you'll have it's pretty easy to transplant these. Here is a mango pawpaw, also fruiting for the first time since it's been here. Absolutely loaded down with fruit. So I'm going to continue as we go along here to tone down these peach trees and turn up the pawpaws as we go along. Some other things that are fruiting currently are the gummy berry. And I have gummy berry all over this food forest. This is my nitrogen fixing shrub. They are starting to set fruit. These are another prolific fruiter here in Zone 8, South Carolina. It's a great managed plant. If you know how to manage this plant, this is going to be a very heavy producer and a very valuable plant to have. It's a fertilizer plant. Right next to this gummy berry, I have pomegranate, which is starting to flower out pretty heavily too, by the way. So I know we're going to have quite a few pomegranate growing on here this year. Mexican beautyberry coming in right now. Along with the wild blackberries, we have the thornless variety blackberries starting to come up and come on. So we're certainly going to have, and these are peppered throughout the food forest. So provided we get one more good drenching rain, most of these will be ripened up and ready to go. So blackberries are fruiting right now. I have a jujube tree here that's blown up to about 20 feet tall. It is currently flowering right now. It's kind of hard to see those flowers. They're very small, very tiny. It kind of helps prevent fungus and bacteria from getting into these trees, which is why they're pretty disease tolerant. But I will certainly have jujube coming on here later. Muscadine grapes coming on just fine. They have flowered and are now setting fruit. So once again, provided we keep, I can keep these watered fairly regularly, we should have a pile of muscadines this year. Another thing, fruiting right now. This is a brown turkey fig. Let me zoom in on this for you. And I hope that you can see that brown turkey fig is loaded with fruit. It really enjoys being here in the chicken run area. It gets plenty of fertilization, fertigation, and the chickens do their part, keeping the pests and the bugs off of the trees that are growing here. Now I do have chickens. We have 5 backyard chickens. We have been getting about 3 to 4 eggs per day. So here again, it's another small source of food for your home garden. For the most part, garden fans, everything is looking pretty good back here. We got a lot of things growing, fruiting, flowering. It's going to be a very abundant summer. I'm starting to plant out vegetables in the food forest. So as my rabbit tractor moves along, I'm planting things like spaghetti squash and lemon balm back here. And this has all been brought about by, of course, the rabbit tractor system we got. Maple here will chew up the weeds, eat, scratch, poop, and then we move her cage and kind of lay hay down behind it. When we're ready to plant, we move away the mulch and plant directly into it. So it's going to be a very abundant year. This is probably going to be the most abundant year I've had since I've been here. Most of that is just time and size dependent based. As the trees get bigger, they produce more. So I really appreciate you all coming out today and checking out our food forest. If you have any questions about permaculture in general, just ask. And if you're not already, please subscribe so you can see how this place continues to develop throughout the year. We appreciate you all watching as always. God bless.